Hi, Michael Jansen here from tinyhousedesign.com. This video will show you how to draw a gambrel roof, or at least the truss. So a gambrel roof is, I think, becoming a more popular roof style on tiny houses, and it's really because they give you so much more space in the loft. So I'm going to change the field of view so it looks more like a wide-angle lens. You go to camera field of view, and then you just type in, and if you look at the bottom of the screen down here, it has 35 degrees as the default. If you just type in something high like 90 or 70, it gives you that fisheye. So as you can see, if this were just a normal, pitched roof, or I should say a 12-12 pitch roof, it would be much, much smaller. There wouldn't be as much headroom. Really, the headroom would just be in the center of the roof, or I should say the center of the loft. Or you could move the loft down, I guess. You could drop that down a bit, and that'd give you a little more headroom. But boy, this gambrel roof gives you a whole lot of room. I know there are a lot of people that don't like the way the gambrel roof looks, but in terms of utility, boy, it's a great way to go. The only other complexity with it is you end up doing not one big piece of metal going straight down. Instead, you've got two, and so you have to deal with these parts and the normal ridge gap. But anyway, without further ado, let me show you how this works. You want to get the measurement from the center of the wall that you're putting the truss on, or the gambrel roof, to wherever you want the truss, the inside of the truss to start. And I want it to start in the center of the wall. That way, because it's a 2x4 ceiling or roof, I want it to, I want some material to come over the side. So I think the middle is just fine. So down at the bottom of the bottom right part of the screen, you can see that that's 3 feet 6.25 inches. Now, you could use the measuring tape tool, right, to find that same measurement, but I'm just using the pencil because I'm going to go up now. 3 feet 6.25 inches. So I'm just typing that in and hitting enter. Right, so I get the top. Now, if I was trying to find the guideline for a 12-12 pitch, well, boom, I just found it, right? Because that's a 45-degree angle. I've got the bottom is the same as the side here, so that's 45 degrees. Now, for a gambrel roof, you're going to do one other line. You're going to start here at the center again. You're going to hit the midpoint, and then you're going to type in the same number, 3 feet 6.25 inches. And that's going to give you that inside, or I should say that extended line. Now I'm going to make this a group just so it doesn't interfere with other stuff. I don't need it as a component because I'm not going to keep it or reuse it. I'm going to delete it here in just a minute. So now I'm going to grab a 2x4 from somewhere else, a copy of one, and I'm going to make it unique because it's a component. And a component in SketchUp is an object that is repeated elsewhere in the drawing, and you want it to stay the same. So when you change one, it changes them all. And I want to use this for something different. So I made it unique. Okay, I'm going to stick it there. Then I'm going to bring it up. Now I could just type in, well, no, I can't. I was going to say I could type in 45, but I'm not because this is not a 45-degree angle. I have no idea what the angle is at this point, and I don't really care. All I know is that I want it to lay on top of this guide. Okay. Oops. If you have trouble with your angular move tool, is that what they call this? Just hold down the Shift key once you get it on the right plane, and it holds it in place. Now I'm going to make that unique too, because the boards are not the same. Pull it a little long, then I'm going to slice it. Not sure why that didn't just disappear, but that happens sometimes. Could do the same thing to this one. See, that's how it's supposed to work. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to cut this a little long. Or I should say pull it a little long. And up here, I'll do the same thing to this one. Except I'm going to go up this line. Just a little trick. If you have a trouble getting it to snap onto the right line, try going back on whatever line you're trying to draw on and then do it. It seems to help give the line you're trying to draw a guide, although then you have to delete the guideline that you created. So the next thing I'm going to do before I make a copy of that and swing it around 180 degrees, let's take off the wall left sheathing so I can see the wall and the truss. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the bird's mouth for this. And now I'm going to select both. You shift click, and then I'll select multiple. I got the plane that I want to use by just hovering over the ground because I want to flip this around. I'm holding down the shift key. And I'm going to swivel it around. Oops. Going to make a copy. Okay, now I have a copy sitting on top of the other copy. You don't necessarily have to do it that way. Oops, I typed in 190. There we go. Zoom in, fix it, and voila! You have the framing pieces. And now I can get rid of my guideline, my little shape there. So now that I have all these, I'm going to make it a component. Because I will reuse this. So in other words, not only are these two things the same, they're both components. If I make an edit to one, it makes an edit to the other. These two are components, ditto, and this is a component. So it has components inside of components. And the reason I want to do that is, well, if I change this tail here, and I'm going to, I want to be able to, I want it to update over here on the other side without me having to go back and monkey with it. So the only trick with using components, though, is to make sure you're making things unique before you edit a component you've copied for something else. And that's just something you have to learn. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click into the component itself. Right, everything else is grayed out. I'm working with this component because I want to add something to it. I want to add those little braces. And I've just arbitrarily picked 1 foot as the length that the brace travels down each one of these rafters. Now there's some people out there right now cringing because I'm not making this like this. This would be stronger, for sure. And actually, if you look in an attic near you that has a gambrel roof or even a truss roof, you'll notice that a lot of times these bracing pieces will definitely overlap and add extra support by adding that extra triangle in. I'm not doing that in this case because this is a tiny house. This is a very short span. This should be very strong, especially if you use 3/4 inch plywood over here for this brace. Yes, it would be stronger, like I said, to add that triangle back in and make that rounder, but you would end up with less space. and I think it wouldn't be quite as aesthetically pleasing. So I'm balancing those function and strength and aesthetics, and just making a decision there. So I'm going to make this a, we'll call it a truss brace. It probably has another name, and I don't know what it is. So another way to make a copy of something is to start to move it to where you want to do, and then tap the Option key hard, and that'll make a copy. So that's what I just did there. I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to pop it onto this side. I zoom in and out pretty quickly by using my trackpad, 2 fingers on my trackpad on my Mac. Your Mac or PC may work the same. Just makes it easier. You might also be saying, oh my God, because those braces are the same for each one of these angles. And it makes sense why when you think about it for a second. When you use the same length for all of these, you're basically starting to draw half of an octagon. And so, you know, if I flip this whole thing around, I would have an octagon. And so, of course, because it's a symmetrical geometric shape like that, well, by God, all the interior angles are the same. Now, of course, this angle is not the same because this is cutting the octagon in half, but all these other ones are exactly the same. Now, you can actually, while you're drawing this, you can actually take these guys again, and you can use them down here. And you'd stick them right there. But of course, because it's half of an octagon, like I just said, it's not going to, you're going to have to modify the other half of the brace, as you can see. So I'll have to cut that off, and maybe down, and extend it, or whatever. But that's how. And actually these two, I'm going to make them both unique. They're both selected, they're both the same. That way I can make them both unique, and then when I edit one, it's going to edit the other. So that's it. That's how you draw a gambrel truss. Oh, actually, let me do one other thing. Here's a great trick. All right. So now that you have one truss, how do you draw the rest of them? You take the one, you position it where you want it, you start to move it, then on your keyboard type the option, just tap the Option key, makes a copy. Now without doing anything else, type the distance you want to move it, 2 feet. And actually in this case, let me back up, I don't actually want this one at 2 feet. I want it at 2 feet from, I want this to be 2 feet on center. So it's actually going to come back 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so now that's right. And the reason is because, of course, this one is, the center of the first truss is 3/4 of an inch inside of that line. So now I've got one that's right on the money. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab the Move tool. I'm going to start to move it. I'm going to tap the Option key. I'm going to type in 2 feet. And I'm going to type in how many I want. Well, I want 3 more, including the one I've got. And that'll just make copies. And I'm going to move this one in. And voila! There you have it. Great. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to get a copy of the SketchUp file or the finished plans, just visit tinyhousedesign.com and subscribe to the email newsletter. The daily email newsletter carries links to both files. Thanks for watching.